The deteriorating health of Dr. Kizza Besigye, the longtime opposition leader, has really exposed Kenya. And William Ruto is grabbing headlines yet again for the wrong reasons. When Kizza Besigye came to Kenya after the invitation from Martha Karua to attend a book launching ceremony, we understand that Kizza Besigye was abducted from Riverside apartment, a high-end apartment. And no one from the Kenyan government has explained, has given a proper explanation how Ugandan military entered the country, located Kizza Besigye in one of the high-end apartments, abducted him, and traveled either by road or by air back to Uganda. No one. And the Foreign Affairs PS Singolei is denying that they were not in touch with the Ugandan government when Kizza Besigye was abducted. But the information minister back in Uganda is saying this, ladies and gentlemen, that Dr. Kizza Besigye was arrested. The government of Uganda was in touch with the government of Kenya. Otherwise, how would you arrest somebody from the middle of Nairobi and then bring him back to Uganda through the airport or even by land without the full knowledge and support of the state in Kenya? This minister is called Bayonunsi. And ladies and gentlemen, it is very true that there isn't any foreign government that can get into another country, abduct a personality, then get away with it. Otherwise, the government of Kenya is telling us and confirming that they are not in charge, because they must admit either of the two. One, that they were in full agreement. They gave the Ugandan counterpart the green light to come and abduct a foreigner in our own soil. And if they want to deny that they were not in agreement, then they are confirming to us that as a government, they are not in charge, and therefore any person, any foreign military can come into the country, abduct a fella, gets away with it. Then if that is the case, then how safe are we? It means that any terrorist can come into the country, Al-Qaeda or Al-Shabaab, and cause mayhem in the country. But one thing for sure, ladies and gentlemen, I trust and believe that the government of Kenya okayed the abduction of Kizza Besigye. Now, the reason why it is even becoming more alarming, it is reported by Kizza Besigye's wife and the legal minds around him that his health is deteriorating every day. Kizza Besigye is on a hunger strike, maybe to protest the illegal abduction and detention in a military camp without any trial, without any reason. Or he does not trust the food that is being prepared by the government. And so his health is deteriorating. The images that were portrayed to us, those are images of a man who is malnourished, very frail and weak. And sometimes I ask myself, what is the threat profile of Kizza Besigye? What's the worst that he can do to Museveni? Because Museveni is in charge. His son is in the military. All the judges and the military officials and the police and everyone is appointed or are appointed by Museveni himself. So I wonder why he's persecuting Besigye. I mean, if he is let free, what exactly is going to happen? But back to the Kenyan government, ladies and gentlemen, it is understood that Kenya and East Africa are part of the local and international legal frameworks that protect individuals from illegal detention without trials. And on that, legal minds and human rights activists are saying that William Ruto should and must be faulted for allowing the abduction of Kizza Besigye, because maybe his health would have not reached the level where it is if they had protected Kizza Besigye. Do you know the reason why many people believe that Kenya was aware of this? No one is talking about it. Let's say that they were not aware that Kizza Besigye was abducted from the country. Then why haven't they talked about it? No one is talking about it. leave alone talking. We need to condemn this, and no one is condemning this. And this time round, William Ruto is exposed again. And I've told you over and over again that Uganda has been mentioned in bad faith in our country. There are allegations that any time we are approaching an election year, and after the elections, Uganda soldiers are sometimes ferried into the country, and they are part of the killings going on. You all know what Uganda did to us in Migingo. And so, ladies and gentlemen, the relationship between William Ruto and Museveni is one that is not helping us. And experts are saying that should anything happen, God forbid, that Kizza Besigye loses it, then William Ruto must be held responsible, because that the authorities in Kenya had the legal, the moral, and diplomatic responsibility to rescue and protect Kizza Besigye. Now, one thing that baffles me is that there isn't any member of the East African country that has condemned this. And do you know why? They are all suspects. What is happening to Besigye is what is happening to Tundulusi. I always find it very difficult to pronounce that name. Tundulusi is one of the opposition leaders in Tanzania. And whatever is happening to Kizza Besigye is the same thing happening to him. And I think Rwanda the same, and all these other East African states. That is why no one is speaking, no one dares speak about it. The elections in these countries are mere formalities. Even in our country here, the courts are in the pocket of the president. And I remember after the 2022 election, the Chief Justice, Madam Martha Koome, used non-judicial terms, hot air, wild goose chase, in a manner suggesting that she was working for someone. She never showed and showcased neutrality. Our presidents do not obey the rule of law. They do not obey human rights. And the images of Kizza Besigye is just but an example of what opposition leaders go through in Africa, even if you have to extend it to Africa. Some of the opposition leaders are dead, others are maimed, others have sought asylum in other countries. And I understand that if there are some African presidents who will even follow you. If you're hiding somewhere abroad, then they will coordinate. You're even killed in your safest heaven, where you think that you're now outside the borders of Africa, and you think that you're safe. Ladies and gentlemen, we need to relook as a country our foreign policies. You know, we are holding very many foreigners and refugees in the country, and we live cordially with them. Yet we allowed Kizza Besigye to be abducted from our own soil. And this is very wrong, and it paints a very bad picture for our country. And I always say that Africa is her own enemy. Because if you want to progress as a nation, and you realize that we have presidents who overstay in power and they don't care, as if they think that if they're not there, life will not continue. And I've always understood that the reason why many presidents overstay in power, one, they don't respect the constitution. Number two, they have committed too many atrocities that they are even afraid that if they exit, then the law will catch up with them. Our presidents will always deal with the opposition in a manner to suggest that they want a one-party state. They do deal with them so much ruthless that you don't want even to engage in opposition politics. Many of our elections are a mere formality. You will go for elections, wataiba tu, and then utaambiwa uende kotini. The body that manages election is theirs, is in the pocket, the court is in their pockets. Then after the court, you are told, now you have to respect the rule of law. And so, ladies and gentlemen, we need to speak as a country. I have seen certain groups who have organized to go and protest against the illegal detention of Kizza Besigye, who they say should be given an opportunity to medical rights, to go to the hospital, because his health is really deteriorating. I wonder whether we have morality in our DNA. Because sometimes you look at someone you're persecuting, he does not have the ability to cause you any harm. And then I thought it was really funny to me that Kizza Besigye was Yoweri Museveni's doctor. I wonder why the widening rivalry between them. But one thing that our African presidents must understand is that power is transient. We can learn from many presidents who thought that they were everything to their countries. And when the right time came, they were no more. You can overstay in power, appoint your wife as a deputy president, appoint your son as a minister, your daughter as the military chief. But one day, and history has shown us that you cannot continue in power forever. And one day, if it is not you, then your generation will pay for it. Let us respect international laws and orders and treaties that we have signed. There is no way detaining someone whose health is really going down every day, emancipate his country. And this has been the story of many. But let them continue, because the president of Senegal also suffered, and even the prime minister. They were being harassed by the state authorities, and God repaid them. And many other African presidents who have gone through that path are now leaders. And we know that one day, even if they persecute whatever they do to Kizza Besigye, if God had destined that he will one day be in any position in Uganda, he will be. But we need to condemn the way some African countries are dealing with the opposition. This kind of dictatorship at this point in time, in this era, is unacceptable. And then when any white man dares call you a dark continent, a third world country, then you fume with fury. Yet what we do really resonates with those very explanations. Ladies and gentlemen, let us stand together and condemn the illegal detention and condemn the Kenyan government for not protecting Kizza Besigye, whose health would be different today had they decided to help him. I don't know what you think, but this behavior is unacceptable.